Hi, I'm Justin Kirkwood, the Russ Bassett Sales Executive for the Southwest Territory. I'm joined today with Nick Zamorano with CareFlite here in Irving, Texas. Nick, thanks for joining me today.
Oh, thank you.
Explain to our audience, what is CareFlite and what is your role here with the company?
Absolutely. So my name is Nick. I'm the Director of Communications here at CareFlite. CareFlite is a 501c3 not-for-profit EMS agency here in North Texas. We just expanded our fleet into the Central Texas area with our air division. My role here at CareFlite is to oversee the 911 and Flight Operations Center. I lead our call takers and our dispatchers and our flight dispatchers at serving our patients that call in and request an ambulance, whether it be for 911 services, whether it be for non-emergency discharges from hospitals or hospitals to hospitals. And my job is to serve as, to take care of our 911 dispatchers. But yeah, that's pretty much all about CareFlite, and we serve close to about 100 ambulances at a given time with an aircraft fleet of about 8 rotor wing.
Awesome. So this is a new center, new building that y'all recently have moved into. When you began the process of looking for dispatch console furniture, how did you go about that, and how did you find Russ Bassett?
So, funny story is I had already been looking for furniture consoles for quite a few months. A lot of the same vendors that are out there are mostly known for consoles. A lot of dispatch centers use the same product. I actually went to a CCM course many years ago, and I follow him on LinkedIn. He's a CCM alumni, and they had just posted their new communication center and their consoles, and I was like, wow, those look really sharp. And so I had made a comment onto his post and said, hey, who was your vendor? I'm kind of curious to see what those consoles are or what they can do for us. And your vice president, Peter, messaged me directly and said, hey, I'd love to talk to you.
Oh, cool.
And it just kind of led into a very casual conversation, if you will. And that's not something that we typically get when we're shopping for something that is a high-end quality product.
Sure.
And so I kind of relate to buying a car. There's a lot of pressure. Mm-hmm. And the process of the consoles, it was very, very casual. And so I really enjoyed the process there with purchasing the Russ Bassett consoles.
Awesome. Well, I've been to your old center, and you've had those consoles for 15 plus years. So when you began the process of looking at dispatch console furniture, what were some of the key features that you were looking for that would best fit your operation?
Sure. So one of the biggest problems that we have in our current center is cable management. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the dispatchers, they sit under those consoles, and we have wires hanging everywhere. And the dispatchers will kick them, they'll yank them out. And so that's a huge problem. And that was one of the very first things I looked at when looking at a console was cable management. As we spoke with Tanya earlier, we spoke about a little bit of the temperature adjusted controls on the consoles. The multiple dispatchers have different preferences when it comes to heating and cold temperatures, if you will. So with the ability to change those temperatures at the consoles, it really gives the dispatchers comfort in their area. And so we really appreciate that. That was one of the things I looked for, as well as adjustable lighting at the consoles. Majority of the dispatchers like lights off. I think I could speak on all dispatchers when it comes to that, but we do have a select few people who prefer lights on. And so having these consoles, having the ability to change the lighting around them really makes a big impact on comfort, and the screens, and having them closer behind, the adjustable screens is big for them. So those are some of the key things that I looked at when looking for consoles, as well as quality. What's the span of life on consoles? We, like you said, we have consoles that have lasted us well over 15 years in the current communication center. And as we transition, I wanted something that was going to last just as long, but also have the support and the customer service that Russ Bassett has provided us till today. So.
Excellent. I greatly appreciate you selecting us to be your vendor, and you had a ribbon cutting a couple weeks ago, a very successful open house. When you have other, whether it's fire, law enforcement, or other EMS professionals that come in to see the center, and they want to upgrade their center, they're looking for dispatch console furniture, what would you tell them, working with me and working with Russ Bassett, and helping them try to select us as their furniture provider?
No, absolutely. So our ribbon cutting was very successful, and I'd already had many people who asked me, who was your console provider? And one of the first things I said was the casualness of the entire process. The entire process was completely just communicative. It was clean, and there was so much responsiveness from your team, and that's what I take stride in. Sometimes it's not always just about the products, it's about the people. And sometimes when the people have investment into their product, that allows us to put investment back into our dispatchers, who put their investments back into their patients. But one of the biggest things that I take away from the process was the consistent communication. And not only seeing the communication from you guys, but also starting to see from, as I networked out with all the other partners and PSAP agencies that we do network with and have partnerships with, they are moving into Russ Bassett's as well. So not only am I moving my center in the right way, I've seen other people do it, as well as more people coming on with Russ Bassett into our area. I'm able to go and explain not just CareFlite, but other agencies around who can show proof of the product that we are purchasing is a good product. The quality and the commitment from Russ Bassett to this day has been par to none.
Well, I greatly appreciate that on behalf of the entire Russ Bassett team. I appreciate your time today speaking with us, and I look forward to a continuous working relationship as the company grows and it becomes more successful. And so, we're with you all the way. So I appreciate your time.
Thanks,
All right,
Justin.
thanks, Nick.